Hey Google, why should I buy a full frame camera?
According to expert photography, the biggest advantage of having the best full-frame DSLR sensor is the image quality that comes with them. Everyone wants their images to be of the highest quality possible. It makes sense. Full-frame sensors are larger, so they have many more pixels than crop sensors.
So, is it really true? Let's find out. Namaste, I'm SandipR and welcome you guys to the first episode of Tech 101. As you might have already guessed from the intro, this video is all about different camera sensor sizes, and if I have to be precise, it's about APS-C versus full frame camera. So if you are not interested in this kind of video, you can just check out my other videos which might be interesting for you guys. And also I'm trying to do this video in English so that people from other countries might be interested in this kind of topic, and if they find this video, there won't be any problem for them to understand it. My camera is Canon 80D, which is an APS-C size camera, and one of my friend has a 5D Mark III, which is a full frame camera, and I asked him for a few days to do this video. The reason behind me doing this kind of video is like I wanted to see the differences between APS-C size camera and the full frame camera, not 80D and 5D Mark III, but the sensor sizes. And also I'm planning to buy a full frame camera which costs a lot. So if you're spending a lot on something, you expect to get a lot, right? So that is why I wanted to do this kind of video, and also wanted to show to others, so that if some people are trying to buy a full frame camera, this video might be helpful for them. I want to say that this is not going to be a scientific test, rather I would like to call it a real life test. And when we talk about full frame camera and APS-C size camera or other small sensor size camera, most of the people will say that the full frame camera will perform better in picture quality, dynamic range and low light. But as I've seen in comparing 80D and 5D Mark III, the low light performance of 5D Mark III is not as good as 80D. This might be because of the very old sensor in 5D Mark III. So I haven't done a low light test. Rather, I focused more into dynamic range, picture quality and also the bokeh test, which is the blurriness of the background. Because most of the people switch from APS-C size camera or other sensor size camera to full frame just because for the blurriness of the background, because they want that blurriness. So now, without wasting our time, let's jump into the test. And also, to make it quite interesting, what I've done is like I've given the name A and B so that you can remember or you can write down which looks better for you and find out which camera was that. So let's get started. Wait. Before jumping to the test, I wanted to give you some information regarding the equipments that we are using. For Canon 80D, I'm using Sigma 70 to 52.8 lens, and for 5D Mark III, I'm using 24 to 105 f4L series lens. And you might say, how can you compare L series lens with Sigma normal lens? So even for that, I've done a different test. You will see afterwards. So let's jump into the video. So in this first test, what I've done is like I have placed a camera on a tripod, and you can see the you can also compare the dynamic range, not quite maybe, but you can see the dynamic range and the picture quality of the video. So this is camera A and this is camera B, and this is A versus B. Now when we zoom in 200%, you can see the difference, if there are any differences. You can even pause the video and you can see like the skies and the clouds, everything, if you want. And for the second test, I have zoomed in the lens to different focal length. That is, as you guys know, we have to multiply the focal length by 1.6 of APS-C sensor. So I think it was like 50 in 80D and it was around 80 in 5D Mark III. So this is camera A and this is camera B. this is A versus B, and this is 200% A and B. So if you are seeing any differences, please let me know in the comment. For me, in this section, the B looks quite contrasty. Now let's get into the third test, where I am trying to compare the colors and also the picture quality, of course. I know. Here I have used the same lens, which is 24-105 f4L lens, because Sigma 17 to 50 lens will not work on 5D Mark III as it is for APS-C sensors. So here I have used the same lens, so there might be a little bit difference in the video because of the sunlight, but don't focus on that. Let's focus on the picture quality and the color. Now let's jump into our final test, which is a bokeh test. Most of the people doesn't know that when we are comparing full frame camera with small size camera, sensor camera, we just multiply the focal length, right? But according to Tony and Chelsea, which is a very popular YouTube channel for camera stuffs, they say that if you really want to compare full frame camera with other camera, you also have to multiply the aperture of the full frame camera by the number, so that if I'm using, let's say, if I'm using 50 mm lens in APS-C sensor, that will be around 80 in full frame camera, right? So if I'm using 1.8 in an APS-C sensor, that means I have to multiply 1.8 into 1.6 in full frame camera to get the unbiased result. So in the first test of bokeh test, I have done in the same way. The 80D has a f4 and the 5D Mark III has around 5.6, I guess. So as you can clearly see that the number B is quite brighter than the A. Now in this bokeh test, I don't think I have to mention which camera is 80D or which camera is 5D Mark III. I guess you might have already guessed it. And also I'm using an ND filter right now to get that minimum aperture, right? So in the second test, what I've done is, like, I have raised the number of ND filter in B and to make it equal to A. And now see the 200% of those camera. For me, there is no difference. I can't see any difference in the bokeh. Now the final test of the bokeh test, which is going to reveal a lot of things for this test. Now I have kept the aperture of both the camera same, that is 5.6 and 5.6, I guess. Yeah. So now you can clearly see the difference. Now we have come to an end of this video, and I'm going to say what I think about this test. In the first test, I don't see any differences, not in a picture quality, not in a dynamic range. Maybe it was not so hard for the camera to show its dynamic range potential, but as I have seen in this test, I can't see any differences. For the second test, the zoomed one, what I can see is the B looks quite contrasty, as I've already said, you know. Rather than that, again, I don't see any differences at all. Now for the third test, which is the flower one, again, I don't see any differences, not in colors, not in picture quality, anything. Bokeh test, the first one, obviously the B looks quite brighter, and second test, it looks kind of same, but for me, I think the B has even shallower depth of field than the A. And in the final test of the bokeh test, you can clearly see that the A has a shallower depth of field than the B, which means the B is a Canon 80D and A is the 5D Mark III in the bokeh test, only for the bokeh test. So what do you think? Now coming to the first test, A was 5D Mark III again and B was 80D. And for the second test, the B was 5D Mark III and the A was 80D. I can see a lot of disappointments on your face. And on the flower test, third test, the A was 80D and the B was 5D Mark III. So I guess this is it for the first video of Tech 101. This is quite a long video, so if you stayed up to here, thank you so much for watching, and I guess it was helpful. So if you want to say something, please write down in the comment. There are a lot of those cameras which performs a lot better than 5D Mark III, I guess. So this is not, as I said, this is not a scientific test of full frame camera versus APS-C size camera, but it shows that the 80D or the APS-C size camera is not far behind from the full frame camera. If you really want to use it, you can use it obviously. If you're thinking to buy your first camera, your APS-C size camera will perform a lot better than you might think, and also it will cost you a lot less than the full frame camera, of course. So thank you for watching, and if you like my video, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe my channel, and there are also a lot of videos, please check it out, and see you next time. Till then, save nature, keep humanity, and peace. Bye bye.